there are several reasons why husbands cheat in a marriage or in their relationships. But I'm here to tell you guys that there's 5 reasons why men cheat and why specifically women are to blame for it, all right? So in this video, I'm going to get into these 5 reasons why men cheat, why women are to blame for it, and specifically if you stick around to number 4, number 4 is exactly what happened to me in my marriage, and I'm sure you guys can identify with all of these 5 things, and specifically number 4. All right, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kane. I'm the Silver Bachelor. This channel is 100% dedicated to dating advice for older guys. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button and the notification button because I'm dropping videos every week. But first, if you haven't seen my new ebook, this ebook is $4.99, okay? It's less than a glass of wine at your favorite restaurant. The ebook specifically addresses all the challenges that an older guy has trying to date younger women. So if you haven't checked it out, there's a link in my description. Go check it out. There's a preview you can take a look at, the table of contents. And if you're like me, you don't like to read, I got you covered because I also recorded an audiobook. That one is free. It's on my channel. And if you do get the ebook, there'll be a link as well for you to get the audiobook for free. All right, so let's get into this video. So the 5 reasons why men cheat, and more specifically, why women are to blame for it, all right? So number 1, obviously, lack of intimacy and sexual neglect, okay? So I was married for 20 years, and my wife basically checked out in year 4. How do I know she checked out? Well, fast forward, after my divorce, I start rewinding the tape, right? Trying to figure out what's the specific moment where she checked out. And I will tell you guys, and this applies to even long-term relationships or you're with a girlfriend, whatever, you don't have to be married for this one, but when the kissing changes. When the kissing changes, and what I mean is that you're no longer having French kisses, right? You're not using tongue. She doesn't want to use the tongue. It's basically just a peck on the cheek or on the lips. When the kissing changes, I'm telling you guys, it is over. She's checked out sexually. Okay, maybe emotionally she's still involved, but she's checked out sexually, and guess what? This is where the sexual neglect and the lack of intimacy starts. It starts when she checks out of the kissing. In my situation, the next thing, she didn't want me touching her breasts. Like, okay, you know what's weird? Not weird. It's interesting that the breast to a woman is more intimate than actually having sex. Like, my ex-wife didn't mind me having sex with her when she was feeling like it, but when she didn't want me touching her breasts at some point, and this was maybe a year after the kissing changed. So that was pretty crazy. I didn't quite understand, so stupid me, I didn't get it. And then next, of course, was certain sexual acts that she didn't want to do, like that just she used to do before, on and on and on. And so it's no wonder that a lot of men decide to cheat when all of a sudden they're being neglected sexually and the wife or the girlfriend doesn't want them anymore and they feel like they're not desired. Okay, so that's number 1, is lack of intimacy and sexual neglect. Number 2, I'm just taking a look at all my notes because I got lots of notes. Number 2 is the constant criticism and the lack of appreciation. Oh, man, you guys, I know you can relate to this. Like, who wants to be with somebody who's constantly criticizing them, right? Like, for example, I remember I'd go on a long work trip. I'd come back and I'd be exhausted, right? And we had this property and it had grass and I hated cutting the grass. But she would ask me when I came back and it was like, let's say early Saturday afternoon, and she'd ask me if I could cut the grass. And I said, oh, do you mind if I do it tomorrow? And then it would be this like little thing like this, which she'd say, you always say that. The word always is stinger. And I also encourage you guys to not use that word always. You always do this. You always say that. So the constant criticism, lack of appreciation, like, oh, I'm bringing in the dollars, man. I'm bringing the money into the relationship. And she doesn't appreciate that. She's just harping on me about cutting the fucking grass. Like, seriously? Anyways, I'm getting a little riled up about this. But I know you guys can identify that, and that's number 2 reason why a man will cheat and why it's her fault, because she's constantly criticizing you, or she lacks appreciation for what you do in the partnership. All right, number 3, emotional disconnection and neglect. This kind of ties into number 2, but basically, like, as a husband, as a boyfriend, when you feel like you can't connect emotionally, right? When she's neglecting you emotionally, like, not every day do you wake up and you win every day. That we do not win every single day as a man. There are days where we fail, where we lose, and we want that partner that we're with to understand that and to support us when those things. But when we're feeling like there's an emotional disconnection, that she doesn't want to hear this, then a man will most likely try and find it elsewhere. Number 4, this is the big one that happened to me, is the loss of attraction and my ex-wife letting herself go. So she clearly was losing attraction to me, and most importantly, she started letting herself go. And this is a sneaky thing that wives will do, or girlfriends, you're in an LTR, long-term relationship, they basically stop taking care of themselves like they used to. They stop being feminine like they used to. And you know why? Because God forbid you find them attractive, because if you find them attractive, that means you're going to want to have sex with them. And it's a sneaky thing a lot of wives do. They start letting their gray hair show, and they have an excuse about, oh, it's just so much maintenance and so much work to dye my hair. And so, I just like the gray. They will come up with all kinds of reasons to justify them being less feminine and stop taking care of themselves. Guys, this happened to me. Like, the gray hair started showing, the nails started getting a little grungy, body hair started appearing in places that they normally were not, or she wasn't grooming like she used to. And it was always some damn excuse, like it was so much work, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, they don't want you to be sexually attracted to them, because you will now want to have sex with them, and they don't want to have sex with you. So, number 4, like I said, there's a loss of attraction that she has for you, and she starts letting herself go. And that's another reason why men will seek companionship and sex elsewhere and cheat. Number 5, the last one, is the controlling and disrespectful attitude. Like, there reaches a point where almost every single relationship, mostly, right, where she doesn't want you to lead anymore, or she's challenging your leadership, right? So she asks you, for example, what would you like to have for dinner? And you just straight up say, well, I'm thinking we're going to have some chicken tonight. She doesn't like the chicken. So you say, well, then let's have steak. She doesn't like steak. Like, just on and on, she's going to start challenging your leadership in the role. And I'm convinced that almost every man out there that is married becomes a beta over time because of his wife, right? And then when they wake up and they're like, fuck, what did I do? Then they realize, shit, I become this, I don't like this. And so they try to change themselves. That doesn't work, because once a woman checks out, there's no recovering, there's no redeeming yourself. So then they seek it elsewhere, and they basically have 2 different personalities. They have a personality in the marriage, and they have a personality outside of the marriage. So for full clarification, and I'm going to share this right now, and I should have maybe mentioned this earlier, but I did not cheat on my wife, right? I was faithful the entire time. However, I've met a lot of men that make good money or not, doesn't matter, who have cheated on their girlfriends or their wives, and they've told me these reasons, and that's why I thought to share it, because there were definitely times where I felt like cheating on my ex-wife. So hope this video was helpful, and we'll see you next time.